Welcome to the Pub Sports Radio NFL Closing Time Show. It is Sunday, December 6th, and it's Week 13. Hopefully it's lucky number 13 for all us NFL bettors today as we hope to cash some tickets and pile up some profits in NFL football today. Skee Profit, Connor Mack with me as always. Guys, let's get right to it. Detroit, Chicago, top of the rotation as always. We got the Bears, a 3-point favorite here. The total in this one in the mid-40s right now. Certainly a lot of things you want to keep in mind from a Detroit standpoint. We know this is an offense that's been banged up with DeAndre Swift, with Kenny Golladay. Obviously been ailing the last few weeks. Swift's not going to play. Kenny Golladay, it looked like earlier in the week, is not going to play. And then apparently they're seeing him taking wind sprints earlier today in warm-ups. So what does that mean he's in? We don't know for sure. But I still think it's dicey because he's been talked about like he's not going to play all week long. So to me, it's a situation where you want to be aware who's in, who's out there with the Lions if you can. From a Chicago standpoint, look, I know they're laying 3 points right now, but they're mired in a brutal 5-game losing streak. The offense just has not worked. And for as much as I've detested this Detroit Lions team, we have seen countless examples this season in the NFL. You fire the head coach, and of course Detroit did that after the Thanksgiving Day debacle against Houston, getting rid of not only Matt Patricia, but the Bobby Q. Bob Quinn is also gone, the general manager, who actually did just as bad a job, in my opinion, as the coach did, Patricia. Nevertheless, they're both gone. Darrell Bevell is a respected guy, offensive coordinator in the league for years, taking over in the interim. And usually first game or two after the coaching change, you get that uptick in performance and intensity, at least in the short term, like we saw with Atlanta after Quinn got canned, like we saw with the Houston Texans after Bill O'Brien got canned. You know, you got those teams in the interim at the very beginning of after those coaching changes showing up, at least for the first few weeks. And maybe all Detroit's got to do is show up here to be competitive here, because I certainly don't trust the Bears as chalk. I do have a small play Detroit here, +3. What's your take, Skee? Detroit, Chicago.
I agree with you. They fired Matt Patricia, and like you said, when teams fire the head coach, they have to show now that it's not their fault, it's the head coach's fault. So they're going to go out there and play. And I saw a stat tweeted out by one of my friends, Ralph Michaels, and pretty much just the farther you are away from 500, the worse the record is, it seems, when you're laying points. So I'm not trying to lay points with losers. Khalil Mack hasn't had a sack in a few games. The offense looks pretty weak. I know Trubisky's back. I'm not big on Trubisky anyway, but I would have to be going with the Lions, especially if you get Golladay in the lineup, give Matt Stafford another target. I like the Lions plus the 3 points.
Yeah, and I like the Lions. I like the Lions without Golladay, but boy, having him back would be a great bonus here in this game. And Quintez Cephas, I did some reading. He's getting a lot more snaps today because they cut a couple of their other receivers. The receiver out of Wisconsin, he's going to get a lot more opportunity today. Maybe you look at that guy as a buy low player prop option. Cephas receiving yards, receptions, more than anything, touchdown even to score, I think is a huge price. I think it's worth a couple bucks placing a bet down on that. Quintez Cephas to score a touchdown maybe for the Lions. Connor, what's your take here? Lions, Bears.
I like that prop. That is a good one to take. I'm with you guys. It's Lions or pass. I just saw Golladay and Swift aren't in, but I don't care. I'm not going to lay 3 points with the Bears. It's here. It's Lions, and I put them in a couple teasers at 10. I didn't take it at 3, but that would be my lean. There's no way I want the Bears right now. I just think it's the dogfight. I wish one of those guys were playing. It would, that offense would be a lot better. But Lions or pass here.
I agree. They're a good teaser option, Detroit, for sure. I mean, you can get Detroit upwards of +9 on a teaser, and they're definitely in a couple of teasers I've got today. There's a couple teams that I'm interested in putting in teasers. Detroit would definitely be one of them. All right, next game on the card as we move on down the list, we've got Cincinnati, Miami. Miami 10.5 point home favorites, 42.5, 43 the total. It's back to Tua time today in Miami with Tua Tagovailoa back as the starting quarterback. Brandon Allen, Cincinnati covered last week against the Giants. I'll give them credit for that. Backdoor touchdown from Brandon Allen and the Bengals late in the fourth quarter. But boy, Brandon Allen got away with a lot of bad throws against the Giants. I saw portions of that game last week, and I certainly saw the highlights. He chucked the ball into double coverage far too many times, and far too many times, guys, he didn't pay the price for it. Giants either dropped the interception or just bounced off someone's hands and fell incomplete. If he makes those kind of dangerous, bad decision type throws here against Miami today, it's going to get ugly, I think, potentially for the Bengals. So I worry about that second road game. My one little bit of hesitancy in pulling back the reins here is, when the hell have we seen Miami double-digit chalk in the last few years? And when you're not used to this kind of point spread roll, I'm not really liable to go out there and bet it. And that's the way I feel about this game. I don't want Cincy, but it's just not for me trustworthy to lay 10.5 here with this Miami Dolphins team. I know they covered against the Jets last week, but that was still only 6.5, 7 on the road. And at least the Bengals fight. At least the Bengals compete. At least the Bengals have a competent, competitive, stable, professional effort on a weekly basis. I can't even say that about the Jets half the time. So for that reason, I'm going to stay off this game. Miami probably wins, but I'm not interested to lay 10. It's probably a low-scoring game. People that bet this game under, they're probably on to something. What do you like here, Skee? Bengals, Dolphins?
Yeah, and I'll mention that I didn't bet this game either. And the last game, I didn't bet either. I was closer to betting the Lions than I am this game. But on this one, it's no Burrow, no Bengals for me. That's pretty much how I'm looking at it. They're a terrible team. Outside of him, he was the only positive for me. So, I mean, I can see a lot of defensive scores in this game. I don't want to lay the double digits with the Dolphins, but if I'm looking at the total, like I said, if you get a defensive score, you probably have a good chance to go over.
Yeah, and that's the scary part with the under. I don't know if the two offenses move the ball up and down the field, particularly Cincy's, but it's low 40s, and you're worried, especially from Allen's standpoint. That bad interception sets up Miami in the red zone. Short fields, sometimes turnovers, it's all about. But the thing with the turnovers is you can't handicap where they occur. Do they happen on your own side of the field or an opponent's territory? Obviously, if you're betting unders, you want the team with the football to be turning the ball over deep in opponent territory, not their own territory. And that usually is going to go a long way to determining which side it's going to fall over under if turnovers come into play. Connor, what's your thoughts here, Cincy, Miami?
You nailed it, Ian, talking about the Dolphins. I mean, God, I can't remember laying double digits at home. 2 with the thumb. I wouldn't lay it with them here at all. I'd take the Bengals. I didn't take it. I put them in a bunch of teasers at 17.5. But I wouldn't mind if I had a free bet, I'd take the Bengals with the 11.5 and just close my eyes, and because I don't want to lay it with the Dolphins in this spot. I think they win the game. I could see this game like a 27-10, and I could see it kind of tight. So it's just, I got to stay off. When games are like that, I got to just next.
I hear you. I mean, Miami could do what they did last week, dominate, be up 10, 14 points late, and here's Brandon Allen with a minute to go, touchdown, get Cincy inside the number. Could easily envision a scenario like that here. Indy and Houston, good division matchup here. We've got the Colts, 3-point favorites here on the road, 50.5 the total here in H-Town. A Texans team that you take Deshaun Watson away from the Texans. What do they have? I mean, their defense has been terrible all year. The secondary has been shredded. The pass rush, J.J. Watt's shown up a time or two, but not consistently. They can't run the football a lick on offense, this Texans team. But Deshaun Watson's just he's having a brilliant – for a team that's got the record that the Texans have, that's not a good illustration of the kind of season Deshaun is having at quarterback. He has been the thing that has kept a pulse on this Houston Texans team all season long. And I think it's going to be he's going to give them a chance here today because the Colts still banged up defensively. One of their top players on defense, one of the linebacker who they count on significantly, out, a huge injury. Good news for them is DeForest Buckner, Danico Autry, 2 big pieces of that Colts defense are coming back today, and they need all the help they can get because we've seen it, guys, the last couple of weeks. It's not been the same Colts defense, not even close. I think they were overvalued anyway and not as good as their early season results showed, but that's now a few weeks in a row. Green Bay shreds them, absolutely picked apart by Tennessee last week in that loss to the Titans. So at least to get Buckner and Autry back is going to help this defense a little bit. But it's still a defense that, as I said early in the season, I wasn't buying them being an elite defense. They're an okay defense, a good defense when they're fully healthy. But right now, they're not fully healthy. So I think they could have some trouble here. But on the flip side with the Texans, their defense is still very much leaky. The one issue I have with the Colts here, and I know people are going to like the Colts, bounce back spot off a bad loss to Tennessee. And certainly they're capable of beating this Houston team. They're better than Houston. But Anthony Costanzo, I'll say this, and I've got to mention this because it's important, because I watched the Tennessee Colts game start to finish last week. The moment he got injured, the left tackle for the Colts last week, the offense stopped. Didn't work from that point on. They weren't having any success moving the football, and it was the moment he got hurt in that game. He's one of the best left tackles in the NFL. He's not playing today for the Colts, and that's a concern for me in this game. So it's kind of kept me lower, in my opinion, on the over in this game. And it's also the Costanzo injury in particular got me leaning a little more toward Houston. I mean, it's been fade city for me on this Indy team. And I would lean that way. The one thing that concerns me and why it's just going to be a lean with Houston is Reich off a bad performance. Usually a coach I like in that situation. And that was a bad one in Tennessee last week. And I'm just not getting enough points with Houston too. If I could get Houston more than I feel they could be getting 4.5. They're only getting 3. I think the odds makers have adjusted to this uptick from the Texans the last few weeks. So it's a lean to Houston, a small little wager over the total for me, but that's about it for this game. But fascinated to see how it goes. Skee, what do you think here? Indy and Houston.
Yes, Deshaun Watson is good, but I don't know if he's going to be that great today. Take away Will Fuller. I mean, who's he really throwing to? And like you said, the Colts defense, they got the guys that I care about back. They got Buckner back, and I haven't been high on this Colts team. I've seen them put a couple of good performances together, and I just don't think the Texans' offense is that great. They're not going to run the ball, and there's not really anybody to pass to. So I think this is one of those teams where the Colts can hold them down. Like if we look back on this game the next week, and the Colts had a great defensive performance, we're going to say they didn't play a good team. So I think they can hold the Texans down. I think it's a lower scoring game. It's a division game. Later in the year, those tend to go under. And I like the Colts. I just don't see much from the Texan side for me.
Yeah, Phillip Rivers too, with some kind of toe injury too that they say has hampered his mobility. And I kind of laughed when I read that. Hampered what mobility? Has he ever had any mobility? Like, what are we talking about?
I'll say this.
Here? Hampered his mobility.
As a longtime Charger fan, I've never seen. I can't recall him running like he did the other week. He had this one run. I'm like, is that Phillip Rivers out there running like that? So I'll give him credit for that.
I agree with you. He has tried. He's at least tried. He's given it the old college try this season to run with the football a little bit more. But obviously, if his toe's a little busted up, maybe hesitant to do that here today. The reason I'm going to hold out hope for the Tech, you're right. Will Fuller is targeted a lot too by Watson, and that's a concern. Now, without him, where does he go? Kiki QT has been a disappointment for this team, but there were times he showed flashes of being a really good, promising receiver. He's going to get a lot more opportunity today, along with Brandon Cooks. Those are going to be the two primary guys for the Texans. I'm hoping we get the good Kiki QT, not the guy that drops passes and can't break tackles. So that's what I'm hoping for.
One last thing on this one. We saw the game. Frank, I don't say his name right. I'm not even going to try. But the coach for the Colts is really good. It's like I don't know. I mess it up every time. He's really good. And we saw he ran it down Green Bay's throat because Green Bay cannot defend the run. And it's another team that cannot defend the run. So I can see them running the entire game and just milking that clock.
Yeah, I like Jay Taylor. Mark in the chat saying Jonathan Taylor back helps. Yeah, over 50.5 rushing yards. I was stunned it was that low. On Jonathan Taylor rushing yards. I think he can get over that 50.5. That's one of the props I like in the early slate. Connor, what do you like here, Colts and Texans?
You nailed it with the injury. That you talked about that offensive line last year. They were the only team that started all 5 guys, never were hurt. This year they've been pretty much healthy as well. So losing the left tackle is big. I'm such a Watson fan, but the Colts, the Texans are depleted. I would take him points all the time, and they're just. And I've been with Ian all year. My guy Mark Homer in the chat. Homer for the Colts. I'm taking the Colts today. I'm actually going to lay the 3. I think they can bounce back. And you were right, Ian. If it was 4 or 5, I probably would have went with the Texans. And I really love it if it was 2.5. But I'm rolling with the Colts here. And on the total, I stayed off. I like Skee. I think it could stay under. It could get some late points, but who's going to do it? There's nobody on the Texans. Cooks would have to have a huge game. But with Buckner back, Taylor back, I think to pound the ball, the defense plays a lot better. I'm going with the Colts here.
Yeah, I mean, it's a Colts team that, usually, and we're going to talk about a team that I think is good. I hope is good. You want good teams off a bad game because the focus is there, the intensity's there, especially if you think they're better than the opponent. And I think that might be the case here with the Colts. And like I said, I needed more points to get there with Houston. Jacksonville, Minnesota. We've got Minnesota laying double digits here, total 51. Look, Minnesota's another one of those teams, kind of like Miami. I don't necessarily trust them laying double figures here. And Jacksonville, all they've done all season long, this is a one-win team. They've got every reason in the world to just quit, say, we're not playing, we're not trying. We're tanking for Trevor, whatever the case may be. But nevertheless, the effort's there every week. And Mike Glennon steps in and looks probably better, probably gave the Jaguars their single best quarterback performance of the season. Better than anything Gardner Minshew gave them, better than anything Jake Luton gave them. He was excellent last week, Mike Glennon, the journeyman quarterback who's been with a few teams, been in the league a long time as a backup, and picked apart Cleveland's defense. We'll get to Cleveland in a minute. I think that's a real bad sign for Cleveland's defense, that here's Jacksonville and Mike Glennon basically picking them apart. But nevertheless, give him a lot of credit. Great performance there. Why can't he have some success against Minnesota? Minnesota's secondary is not good. And he was picking up apart Cleveland last week. I think there's some opportunity for Jacksonville to put up points in this game. Jacksonville's got one of the worst run defenses in the NFL, one of the worst defenses overall as well, but especially against the run. They're right there with Houston, Detroit, a bunch of other teams that just can't stop the run. Well, good luck against Dalvin Cook today for the Minnesota Vikings. So this game just got shootout written all over it in my mind. I like the Minnesota offense because Kirk Cousins can throw the ball when he has a run game that he can count on, and he doesn't make mistakes when he's got the run game working. The run game should work today. Justin Jefferson should be, and Thielen obviously back on the field as well, going to help. I mean, this is definitely a Vikings team that should be able to have a ton of success against a bottom-tier defense. But I'm going to give Jacksonville credit. That was a good offensive performance against a competent team last week. I think they can keep it going here against the Vikings. We're still seeing the Vikings give up points. Carolina moved it against them. Dallas with Andy Dalton, and a shaky offensive line that was banged up in that game, piled up points against Minnesota on this field. So I like this game over the total more than anything. 51, I think it can get into that 30-24, 31-24 range. That's a common final score in the NFL. I think that's the kind of score that it can get to that plateau in this game and end up over the total. Skee, what's your thoughts here? Jags Vikings.
Yeah, we didn't agree on the last game, but we agree on this one. And I think it just matches up. It matches up really well for the Vikings, what they want to do, because like you said, the Jaguars can't stop the run. They're allowing 4.5 yards per carry. They've allowed 14 rushing touchdowns this year. And Cook, he seemed to be okay. So I think that they're going to run all over them. And once they get the run game going, like you said, Kirk Cousins, I think he's solid enough, especially versus this Jaguars defense that's been terrible. So I don't want to lay with losers. Like I said, Vikings are not a winning team, and now you're asking them to win by double digits. I like the over. They went over their last 7 at home. I'm on the over. I got it at 51. I'm not sure what it's at right now, but that's the way I like it.
Yeah, and again, last week, Carolina, Minnesota, which was actually the game I used as a best bet on the show last week. It started out real slow, and I'm like, oh, geez, this isn't looking good in the first half. And then things just exploded, especially in the fourth quarter with points. So even if this game starts off slow, do the same thing. If it's like a 14 or 17, 20-point first half, get in on a live over because it could open up in the second half, just like the Carolina-Minnesota game did last week. Connor, what's your thoughts here? Jacksonville, Minnesota.
I'm with you guys. I'm on the over as well. I think points are scored here. I'm going to roll with the Jags. I got over 10, and I got 10 and a half. I love that score, Ian. 31-24. That rings well. I take that.
Exactly.
I like the Jags getting more than. Yeah. I love the over, and I definitely I'm played the Jags as well, getting 10 and a half. I think I could stay in this game. I cannot lay a team, the Vikings. And they're not 500. Them double digits. I know the Jags have been bad, but they've hung in lately. I think they play hard. Hopefully they keep it close, and I think they can. So I'll take the 10 and a half as well.
Yeah, I mean, the one game that they weren't in the game at all was Pittsburgh, and that was just a bad game. It got away from them. But Hung tough against Houston, hung tough against Green Bay, battled Cleveland. Jacksonville's been in most of their games, so that's why it feels like it's a lot of points for Minnesota to be laying here. We've got Las Vegas, the Raiders, taking on the New York Jets. The Raiders, 7.5-point road favorites, 48 the total. I may not bet the Raiders again this season if they don't get it done for me in this spot. I really like them here. I have them first half. I have them full game. They're talking the talk. John Gruden, Derek Carr, Waller, all of them last week after the game against Atlanta. We just didn't bring it. It was a clunker. It was an awful game. They were angry about it and upset about it. And any team that's angry, any team that's focused, any team that's motivated, extra motivated to beat the New York Jets can and will beat the New York Jets. And they'll probably beat them by margin. And that's exactly what I think is going to happen here. And because I still think the Raiders are a solid team. And again, a solid team motivated to beat a bottom feeder like the New York Jets. The Raiders, I think, can come out there and have a big game. Now, I know the Josh Jacobs injury hurts, no question about it. But last I checked, the Jets don't have a secondary. So even if Derek Carr has to lean on the passing game, I don't think that's a bad thing here in this game against the Jets. I know you're going to see, obviously, for the Raiders, a little bit more of the passing game, no question. But again, Devontae Booker, capable. Jalen Richard, he's been with this team now for years. They'll use those two guys. And even those two guys, they've been experienced. They've been productive at times. Yeah, you miss Jacobs, but the Jets don't really have that great interior to stop a good ground attack of any kind. I would expect the Raiders still to have enough balance to be able to move this football. And look, someone told me on Twitter before the Jets-Dolphins last week that said to me, I don't like Sam Darnold coming back for the Jets. I think he's a downgrade from Flacco. And I kind of said, what?
That might have been me.
Yeah.
Ski.
I don't think, well, it definitely wasn't you, Ski, but clearly you might agree with that. And I thought, let's slow down a little bit. Joe Flacco's old over the hill, he's some statue in the pocket. Then I saw Darnold play last week against Miami, and I'm like, this guy might be right. He was brutal last week, Sam Darnold. I can't explain how bad he was in that game. He had all his weapons back. He has no excuses anymore. He's healthy finally. And he was atrocious, missing guys, happy feet in the pocket, not setting his feet, not accurate down the field, maybe a product of an offensive line he doesn't trust, and he's been mangled and battered throughout his Jets career because he can't get protection. Nevertheless, he has to play a lot better than that, and until I see him play better than that, I don't trust him here in this game. So I think it's a big get-well game for the Raiders. Look, every good team has a bad game, and they had that bad game. And I think I excuse it a little bit more against Atlanta because they lost the heartbreaker on Sunday night 2 weeks ago against Kansas City. And I think a product of that bad game against Atlanta was they just weren't quite over that really tough loss against the Chiefs in that Sunday nighter where they, Mahomes scores in the final minute to lead the Chiefs to victory. I think the Raiders are focused today. And if they're focused and they're good, if they get it done here. Or they could do what they did last year against the Jets, and that's when the season came off the rails for them. But I think this year's version of the Raiders is more mature and better than that. Hopefully they prove me right. But I like the Raiders first half, Raiders minus 7.5, the full game as well. Ski, what's your thoughts here, Raiders, Jets?
Well, we can be back to disagreeing now, Ian. I don't give excuses, or I don't give very many, and I just don't think the Raiders are that good. And before I go in on the Raiders, I will say that I'm not a fan at all of Sam Darnold. I've never been a fan. I think I know you guys are bigger on college football than me, but I want to say he went to USC, right? And I know that because I watched only Pac-12, and that's where I'm from. So he was terrible to me. He threw the same route all the time, and I didn't think it was. I was never a fan. And with that said, he had a terrible game last week. And somebody's got to bounce back today. Is it going to be Derek Carr or is it going to be Sam Darnold? I've seen Derek Carr play really terrible whenever the weather's cold. And I just don't think the Raiders are good enough to lay a touchdown. They're not a winning team, or they are a winning team, but their point differential doesn't reflect it. And I don't trust the Raiders to lay a touchdown. I got the Jets. I got in when it was +9. I still like it. I don't trust Derek Carr. I don't really trust Sam Darnold, but give me the points in this game versus the Raiders. They shouldn't be laying a touchdown versus anybody to me.
Yeah, this is all about – if this is last year's Raiders, they're probably going to struggle today. But this year's Raiders, I think, has a little bit more toughness, a little bit – they're better than – how much better, I don't know. I think, but to me, they're better than they were last year. And if they are, they're good enough to get this job done, because the Jets, again, last week was supposed to be the Jets, rally the troops. Darnold's back. Let's show everybody what we got. And it was basically another Jets turd of a performance last week against Miami, the Dolphins last week. But we'll see. I mean, again, the Raiders are flighty, and you are having to lay more than a touchdown with them. So I understand the hesitancy for sure. Connor, what's your thoughts here, Las Vegas Jets?
This one was tough, but I think the Raiders can go in there and win. This will be big after they need to win, obviously, to stay in the playoff hunt, like you guys were talking about. They can't drop this game. Jacobs is out. Abrams is out. We'll see what they're made out of. And I'm just a fade Darnold, like we were talking about. If this was 10, I think I would take the Jets. But I think the Raiders bounce back. I'm with you, Ian. I like the Raiders here. And I lean this game going over a little bit. I haven't took it yet, but I still might. I think there might be some points here. I think Vegas can give up some. So I'm a little scared on this one, but I'm on the Raiders. I'm laying over a touchdown on the road. I don't love it, but I like it enough. Come on, Vegas. Do something.
Yeah, a small play for me on the over as well. I mean, I just, again, the Jets, I don't know how much you're going to get from them, but the Raiders defense is still suspect. It's a lower total for a Raiders game as well. Most of their totals have been in the 50s lately. So to get a 47 when I got it, I thought was a bargain. New Orleans, Atlanta. We've got New Orleans -3 in this game on the road, 46 the total. A lot of Falcons love. I mean, I don't think I've run into every single person I've talked to about this game. Falcons. And now that it's 2.5, 3, I'm kind of wanting to do what I did the last time these two teams played. Let's go against all of this move toward Atlanta. Because I took the Saints, and a lot of people liked Atlanta in that game when they met earlier this season. That was Taysom Hill's first start. And everybody was liking Atlanta. They had the momentum with Raheem Morris, the interim coach. But New Orleans defense is just unbelievable right now, how good they are. They're getting pressure on opposing quarterbacks. I'm not sure the Falcons' offensive line is going to react any better to the Saints' defense the second time around. It was, remember, Matt Ryan was treated like a human pinata by the Saints' defense the first meeting. I don't know what changes here. That defense is still intact, healthy, playing at the highest level of they have all season, maybe of any defense in the NFL right now, what we're seeing from the Saints. And Taysom Hill he's had some ups, he's had some downs. You can't say that was a great game for him against Denver, but he didn't have to be great. They're facing a guy that is just in an emergency situation, had to be quarterback in Kendall Hinton. Taysom Hill, indoors, capable enough that I think he can lead this team to. All I got to do is ask the Saints to win this game, essentially, now with this number where it is 2.5, 3. They're the better team. Respect what Atlanta's done. They've been a good, hard-trying, good effort, strong effort team in recent weeks, no doubt. And it was a big blowout win against Las Vegas. Give them credit. But I think the ride ends here now, because the one thing the Falcons have not done this year is beat the best of the best in the NFL. And you're talking about one of the best teams right here. So now with this 2.5 in some spots, I got to grab the Saints at this current number. They're just better team, better, and certainly better defense. Skee, what's your thoughts here? Saints, Falcons.
I understand that. I have some people that I respect who are on the Saints. I think I'm looking the other way. I don't think it's going to be the same kind of game we saw when Taysom Hill played the first time. Falcons, it's just a matter of them getting in the end zone. They get down there all the time, either give the ball away or kick a field goal. And if they can get in the end zone, I think they give the Saints a run for their money. But that said, the Saints defense is really good. But I also think the Falcons defense is really good. They've stepped it up since they fired Dan Quinn. And they've won, I think, 4 out of their last 6 games. They've went under those same 4 out of the last 6 games. I don't think it's a coincidence. I think the defense does a good job today. I like the Falcons, and I like the under.
Yeah, I agree with you there on the under. The total for sure. It's already been hammered low. Like what you're going to get with the Saints is run the football, Taysom Hill short to intermediate, dink and dunk passing. Their defense is not, I think, going to give up a ton to the Falcons, but the Saints are a methodical team. I don't think they're going to completely light up the scoreboard either. So, 21-17, 24-20, that kind of game is what I see here. And it's probably topping out at 44, 45 points. So I agree with you there on the under. Connor, what's your thoughts here? Division matchup, Saints, Falcons.
I'm with you guys. I like the under here a bit. I'm with Skee, I think. And I've only bet Atlanta first half. I kind of like it full game here. But, when it drops to 2.5, like Ian was saying now, I'm like, I think the Falcons are a different team. They've seen him already a couple weeks ago. It was 10-9 at half, and then they just crumbled like they do. So, I mean, I like kind of all three. The under first half and full game. The Falcons here a little bit on all three. The Saints the defense is rounding into form, and Atlanta's playing better defense. I think this game stays under as well. But yeah, this is a tough one. I think they see Hill a second time and play a little bit better, and like it's tight. And I think you nailed kind of the score. I think it could be around there. We'll see. Every time I give Atlanta, think they're going to step up, they just bury me. I lose. Every time I think the Falcons are, they've done this, and I bet on them. So hopefully, Skee, it doesn't happen today.
Yeah,
for sure.
I think the first half has been strong for them, like you said, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, it definitely has. And that point you made, Connor, about, and if you like Atlanta in this game, this is one of the points you have to hammer home for sure. This is the first time a team and a defense is going to get a second crack at Taysom Hill. This is when you get adjustments made, tendencies, kind of the Sean Payton playbook and what the play menu that's on the horizon with Taysom this time around, much more than you did in the first meeting. So that is something that is beneficial for sure for Atlanta going into today. We've got a good matchup here to wrap up the early slate of games here. Cleveland and Tennessee should be one of the best games in the early window of games. A lot of Cleveland love. Tennessee opened 6. They're 4-point home favorites now. The total 53 has pretty much stayed steady in this game. This number's trickling down enough to the point where I'm close to back in Tennessee at the current number. The one issue I've got right now is the spot kind of smells for Tennessee as in terms of a bad spot. They've had 2 big games in a row, Baltimore and Indy. But I oftentimes will look past a bad spot if the number's too undervalued on a team, and I just think they match up well. And I do think the Titans match up well here. I know Myles Garrett's back. They're going to have a little bit more of a pass rush now with him. But the problem is Ryan Tannehill is one of those quarterbacks. We have to consider him like a Mahomes and a Murray and guys that are not statues back there. This guy's capable running quarterback. He's done it all season, and he's the kind of quarterback you want with Myles Garrett on the other side. They are without Jonnu Smith. Yeah, it does hurt, but you still got lots of weapons. Derrick Henry, Adam Humphries is back to go with Corey Davis and A.J. Brown. And now all of a sudden you've got a great trio of receivers. And I don't even mind the Jonnu Smith injury too much because this backup tight end, I think he's having a big day today, and I like him to score a touchdown. It's like plus 250 for him to score a touchdown. Anthony Ferkser, he is a guy for the Tennessee Titans that Ryan Tannehill's been looking at a lot more, targeting him a lot more. With Smith out now, he becomes the starting tight end. I think Anthony Ferkser has a nice game for the Titans. And I think they move the ball. I don't buy Look at what Cleveland's defense did last week against Jacksonville. Look what they've done in most games. And be careful if you say, wow, look what they did against Las Vegas. Look what they did against Houston, the Cleveland defense. Those are the 2 games that had those heavy wins in Cleveland. You got to throw those games out. If you're using those games in your data to say, wow, Cleveland's defense showed up in those 2 games. No, the weather did. Cleveland's defense didn't. The weather did in those 2 games. Every other game, good offense, weather conditions fine. Cleveland's defense hasn't stopped anybody, to be honest with you. Look, the Indy game, you go on down the list. Last week, Jacksonville, Pittsburgh, Baltimore, all the better offenses they've played have moved the ball on the Browns. I think they have 2 playmakers, Garrett and Ward, and one of them's injured, Denzel Ward. And the rest of that defense, I'll pass on all of them because I don't think they're loaded with playmakers on that side of the ball. However, on the flip side here, Tennessee does have a couple injuries on D coming into this game. Secondary still a little bit banged up. And their run defense is middle of the pack. It's average. So I think Cleveland's running the ball here with some success with Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb. And that's going to make Baker Mayfield more effective throwing the football against still a little bit of a shaky Titans secondary. So I like the overall week. It was one of my favorite plays on this board all week long. You can't argue the Tennessee over numbers. What are they? 8-2-1 to the over this season. And going back again, I've said this a million times. I know I have. Since Tannehill took over from Mariota last year, the overrun for Tennessee has been like almost 80%. It's been insane. And another one easily with the Colts game last week and Titans flies over. It's a high number. Cleveland does run the football a lot, and that can churn the clock. I understand that. That's the one little concern I have. But I think both teams can get at least 27, 28 points in this game. Can find it up and over the total with the Browns and the Titans. And I definitely am interested now in Tennessee with this number down to -4 as well. Skee, what do you think? Good game here, Browns-Titans.
Yeah, we're back in agreement on this one. The Browns, like you said, you just look at the Browns on the road. They score a lot more points. They're giving up a lot more points. So I like the over. You talked about Tennessee every week almost now. And I think both teams take advantage of the defense. And I agree. I wasn't really running to the window with the Titans at 5.5, but getting down to 4, they're definitely making me want to bet it. I know they're missing their tight end. They're missing somebody on the offensive line, I want to say too. And but the Browns are so bad against tight ends that I think you could be right that the backup could have a nice day. So I still think the Titans can do damage. I like the Titans and I like the over. I haven't bet either one yet, but I'm close to betting those two.
All right, leaning Titans and over. Connor, what do you think? Titans and Browns.
Yeah, you guys were nailing it. I lean the over as well. Ian, you were nailing it because I looked through their schedule. The Browns, they beat Jacksonville, Philly, Texans, the Raider game in the weather, the Bengals. I look at 2 games, the Ravens, the Steelers, and even Indy. They got whipped. And I don't know if they get whipped here, but I like the Titans laying 4. I'm glad it went that way. At 6, I could have looked, it was 6.5, the Browns maybe. This has come down to 4. I think Derrick Henry, he gets stronger as the year goes on. It's not even later on in the game, second half, everything. The guy's just a beast. I got to go with the Titans here, and I'd lean over. And I saw another thing. I think they're 1-11. The Browns are like when they play a better team, not a losing team on the road. They're like 1 in their last 11 on the road against a winning team. So they go on the road against good teams and lose. That's what I'm trying to get across. So I'm on the Titans here.
Yeah. Plus, where's the quality win for Cleveland? Indy is probably their best win this season, honestly. And Las Vegas, Las Vegas beat them, I should say. Indy is essentially their best win this season, the Cleveland Browns. And every other game against a plus 500 team, they've lost. And all their other wins have come against the lower rung of the National Football League. So we'll see what the Browns are made of. They're 8-3. You don't take the record away from Cleveland. That's a very, very wishy-washy 8-3, littered with a bunch of cupcakes that they've beaten. We'll see if they can step up to the plate here today against Tennessee. All right, now we move to the late games, the 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific games. Giants, Seahawks. We've got Seattle here, a double-digit chalk in this game against the Giants. Total sitting in the 47 range in this one. I would lean under. I'm not a Colt McCoy guy. I don't have faith in the Giants offense with him at quarterback to go on the road against a Seattle defense that's getting better. And again, Carlos Dunlap's made a big difference in the pass rush. Secondary's gotten healthier. They've actually played better since Jamal Adams got back as well. I don't think the Giants are moving the ball. The one issue with Seattle is short week. They played Monday night in Philly back home, and they're laying doubles. And the Giants, the numbers offhand I don't have, but double-digit road underdogs. The Giants have been money in the bank in that point spread roll for the last year or two. So, but I don't trust McCoy, and I won't back McCoy right now with what I've seen from him last week. But Giants have been good enough in this point spread roll where I don't want to go against them getting all these points. So this is an easy stay away game for me personally. Skee, what's your thoughts? Giants Seahawks.
Yeah, not a game I love, not a game I'm playing. I agree with what you said about the Giants. Giants as a road dog. Giants as a dog, period, but a road dog, they've been really good. So they're getting double digits. I'm not thrilled to lay double digits with the Seahawks. I don't think their defense is that great. So I'll be grabbing the point with the Giants if I'm playing this one.
Yeah, Seattle too. You're right. The defense has improved. Are they improved enough to cover double digits as chalk? That's the question. Connor, what do you think here? New York, Seattle.
Yeah, you talked about the turnover, come back home. It's just I don't want to lay 11 with Seattle, so I got to take the Giants. They played well as road. I think their defense keeps them a little bit in this game. Russell Wilson is unreal and might be the MVP. He's played too well lately, and I know it's Colt McCoy in there. Jones is out, but I think he's one of the better backups in the league. I think he can come in. They're going to try to run the ball, So I think they could stay close. I'd take the 11 here, and I lean towards the under a little bit. So,
All right.
and it's dropped to 47. It was 48, but.
Yeah, I would definitely lean under the total. I'm with you there, leaning under as well in this game, but officially no plays as of yet. LA Rams, Arizona Cardinals. This is one of the better games of the day for sure. An important one for both teams. Rams 2.5-point road favorites, 48.5 the total. I'm so conflicted in this one because the Rams have been pretty good on the road. They've been really good off a loss. And of course, they had the loss in a dubious spot. And I mentioned like in the Niners last week, it was just a tricky spot. They had a big win against Tampa Bay on Monday Night Football, and they come back home and Jared Goff made mistakes. And when Jared Goff makes mistakes and turns it over, that's when the Rams don't win. That's when the Rams don't cover. And we saw it last week against that 49ers team. Give them credit. It was a good performance from the Niners defense. The Rams, I would expect them to be better. They've been a good bounce back team this year, but I'm not sure I want to lay on the road with them against an Arizona team that, even though they've disappointed, last 2 weeks it's gone against them. They lost to Seattle. The New England game they should have won, but they made one mistake after another. Bad day in the kicking game for Zane Gonzalez, cost the Cardinals against the Patriots last week. But they need this one badly. I lean Arizona plus 2.5, plus 3, because Vance Joseph, the defensive coordinator for Arizona, throws a lot of blitzes. He blitzes more than a lot of defensive coordinators. And guess who I don't want to back against a team that blitzes more often? Jared Goff. I don't want to back him against teams that blitz more often because that's when the mistakes happen. So I kind of like Arizona plus 2.5, plus 3. More than anything, I think they're a great teaser option. You get them up to plus 8.5, plus 9 on a teaser. I don't think the Rams are going into Arizona and winning by double digits. I think it's a one-score game either way. So small lean for me with the Cardinals. I know Murray's had the shoulder issue. I know he's kind of had 2 mediocre games in a row. I think back home here, knowing that 6-5, got to have this one if you're Arizona. He'll step it up and play better and keep the Cardinals in the game. What's your thoughts here, Skee? Good one here, Rams Cardinals.
Yeah, earlier in the week, I just glanced at it, and I was looking at the Rams. I thought that the Rams defense is a lot better, and they've been getting people off the field on third down. But I'm not excited to lay on the road, like you said. And at some point, the Cardinals have to win. And I'm also not excited to get the ass end of the line. I'll prefer to fade this team rather than jump on it at the end. So I kind of lean towards the Cardinal side. And if I'm going to bet it, I probably would probably go more towards an under. I think, like you said, Kyler Murray's a little banged up. I trust the Rams defense. It's another one of those division games late in the year. I would go under.
The key is someone's got to help DeAndre Hopkins today. Nuke Hopkins needs some help today because Jalen Ramsey will be matched up on him. Larry Fitzgerald, last I checked, is out. This is when you need a Christian Kirk, Andy Isabella, one of those other receivers have a big day for Arizona. And those are the kind of guys I'm looking at from a prop standpoint, would be those guys because, Hopkins is going to be tabbed by Ramsey all day. You got to look maybe at some of those other receivers to make some plays if you're Arizona. Connor, what's your thoughts here, Rams and Cardinals?
Yeah, the Rams have been so good on the road. But I just don't like it at 3 here. I lean towards the under. I like that 48.5. With Murray kind of banged up, I just don't love this game. The spot's kind of strange. If I could get 3 in the hook, I would take Arizona, I think. And I liked it what you were saying, Ian. Maybe if you want to, this is a good game to tease. You get it to probably 8.5, 9.5. But right now I'm staying off. I might make a play on this in the afternoon. So still thinking about it.
Yeah, and to Mike's point in the chat, he's right. I mean, the Rams have owned the Cardinals. 6-0 straight up, 6-0 against the spread the last 3 seasons, head-to-head against the Cardinals. Yep. That does concern me. This has been a matchup edge for McVay over this team. But sometimes trends can be broken sometimes. And I think Arizona's got it in them to keep this game close at least.
Ian, really quick. I mean, it's kind of making me nervous now in this Tennessee. It's dropped down even to 3.5. I'm just like, what am I missing?
Well, they've got O-line issues. They had some O-line injuries as well, Tennessee, but they also had them last week, and they were just fine last week against the Colts. I don't know if it's that. I think it's the spot. People are seeing – this is a classic NFL betting situation for situational handicappers. Big road win against Baltimore, big division road win against Indy, back home laying points, at home significant points outside the division. people like betting against teams in that spot because it's a little, they're overvalued and maybe a little let down. So I think people are seeing that. Cleveland's got Garrett back and they've been competitive. So I think there's a lot of people seeing. I just think the Titans are better than the Browns, and there's no way I would back the Browns now, especially now after this line move. So I'm still with you. I'm with you 100%. It's Titans or nothing for me in this game, and I'm interested still in pulling the trigger on Tennessee now that it's down to 3.5. We've got Philly and Green Bay. Green Bay 8.5 point home favorites. 49.5, 50 the total. It's a really tough. I don't know what they're going to do offensively. Otherwise, I'd bet the over here in this game. Because I think Green Bay's good for 30s against this Eagles defense, maybe even high 30s. So it's tricky. But Aaron Rodgers has got his receiving core healthy fully, and they, already with Devontae Adams, he showed he could carry the receiving core when they were injured. But now they got everybody back. Tanyan and Valdez Scantling and Alan Lazard. It's all hands on deck for Green Bay. Philly's offense broken again against Seattle on Monday night. Wasn't any better. Carson Wentz has just been hit so many times. He's rushing the throws. He's not setting his feet. The offensive line's a disaster. The skill position group, wide receivers and running backs combined, one of the weakest combined position groups in the NFL, in my opinion, the Eagles have right now. I know they get Ertz back. That will help at tight end, but still, there's bigger issues with this Eagles team. Green Bay wins the game. I believe that. But do I want to lay 8.5, 9? Not really. They're another teaser option. They were down to 3. You can get them even 2.5 because I think there's still some 8.5s out there. Get Green Bay below a field goal on a teaser makes some sense to me, with a lean for me over the total in this game as well. Hoping that Green Bay's defense still worries me. I mean, they just gave up still some big plays to Chicago last week. And maybe Philly, especially if Green Bay gets a lead, Philly gets garbage scores just like Chicago did, and the game can somehow get up over 49. That's what I think could end up happening. So I do like small play, at least on the over. Ski, what do you think here? Eagles, Packers.
I'm not backing Carson Wentz, and I'm not running to the window to lay over a touchdown right now. I mean, the Packers are cool, but their defense, I'm not really sold on the defense, and I know teams can run on them. Maybe the Eagles run on them in this game. And if I'm playing this one, the thing I trust the most, I trust Aaron Rodgers to score against the Eagles, like you said, and I don't trust the Packers against the run. So I would lean more towards points than anything.
All right, so a lean as well to the over there. Connor, what do you think? Philly, Green Bay.
Here, I'll ask Matt's question here. I'm on the Colts. What were you, Ian? You're leaning Texans?
I lean over small and nothing on the side, even though I was leaning Texans initially. I'm not. I think Ski and Connor both like the Colts, though.
You like the Colts? Okay. Yeah, and this one, I got to go with Green Bay. And the total, this is a game, I think it's an under, but just the way they score, I think it could creep over this 49.5. Green Bay is way better. At least they got all their guys. I'm just worried, maybe a first half bet too, but I like Green Bay here. Rolling my guy Razor. Go Pack, go. Win it.
Yeah, Razor's the big Packers fan. I know a bunch of Packers fans. I just can't get away from them. They're everywhere. They're everywhere. New England and Chargers fan. I can't get away from the Chargers fans either. We got one right here with us. New England and the LA Chargers. Not a happy one these days, unfortunately. We've got the LA Chargers, 1.5, 2-point home favorites, 47 the total in this one. For the first time since we've started doing this show, I'm actually kind of lukewarm and hesitant on Chargers over the total this week. I mean, it finally went under last week against the Bills because of the moron that is Anthony Lynn. I'm watching this guy run an option pitch play on 3rd and inches. What the hell was that? 3rd and inches, you're going to pitch the ball 4 yards behind the line of scrimmage on 3rd and inches. Do a quarterback sneak and the ball up the middle. Anything but that. He's going to burn a timeout to decide whether to go for it on 4th down or kick a field goal, only to burn the timeout and decide I'm kicking the field goal. And then the pièce de résistance in the 4th quarter, the final minute, with 2 scores down in the game, no timeouts left, 30 seconds left. So we got to score right now. So we just get a chance for the onside kick and get the ball back. Let's run the football up the middle with 30 seconds left, no timeouts, down 2 scores. A functioning human brain somehow thought that was a smart decision right there. Welcome to the world of Anthony Lynn, ladies and gentlemen. Absolutely god-awful, atrocious game management, clock management, coaching decisions, play calling, you name it. It's the whole works for the Chargers. Plain and simple. So one team wins close games, at least some of the time, like they did last week. That's New England. The Chargers don't. It's New England or pass for me, and I lean over. Skee, what do you got? Patriots, Chargers.
Yeah, you named a lot of that Anthony Lynn nonsense, and that wasn't even the whole story. So I won't even keep going into it. It's just that's how terrible he is. And I'm not understanding why this line is going up. You're asking the Chargers to win by 3 or more now, really? Like, asking them to win at all is a stretch. And I would take the Patriots. There's no way in hell I'm taking the Chargers to win by anything the way Anthony Lynn is coaching. I know it didn't go last week but I still don't trust the Chargers defense. It's not like they got healthier or the coach did anything or nothing's changed. The defense is still going to give it up. And I know the offense wasn't so great, but I think the offense will be a little bit better here versus the Patriots. So I like the over and Patriots.
Yeah, I'm with you. Patriots, and I'll have a small bet on the over just because it's been so good. I don't feel as strongly about it. The one issue that I'm concerned about with the over is Patriots want to grind this game down, burn the clock, run the football a lot, time-consuming drives, and you just worry that comes into play. They want to really bring this into the mud, so to speak, this game against the Chargers. And what's unfortunate, Skee, about the just so many just brutal, painful close losses and the coaching and the play calling is it's soiling a really nice season from Justin Herbert, since he's been started. It's unfortunately ruining and tattering a little bit what's been a pretty damn good year for the guy in his rookie season since he's taken over as the starting quarterback. But he's got bad coaching around him. He's got no defense whatsoever on the other side of the field to help him out. And it's unfortunate. It really is. Connor, what's your thoughts here?
Yeah, it sucks. Like you said, he's had a pretty good year, but when you lose, you're just You're a loser. You know what I mean? Even how good they have been, the coaching and everything, they can't get wins. I'm with you. Now that it's at 2, I'm going to wait here. I'm with the Pats. I got to go. I take up 2. I take a money line. And the total, I'm with you guys. I don't really love the total. I think Skee could be right. This could get over here because both defenses are kind of up and down. They're not very good. They're average, so I'd lean maybe the over, but I don't love it. So, but I like the Pats here.
Yeah, they're still a one-way team for me, over or nothing when it comes to Chargers games totals wise. Sunday night football, Denver, Kansas City. Kansas City laying a big number here, 13.5, 14, 51.5 the total. Obviously, Denver's going to have their quarterbacks this week, unlike last week, which you could argue they haven't had a quarterback all year. What was the difference last week? But at least this week, Drew Lock is going to be back. I don't know how much of a difference that's going to make. This is an easy stay-away game for me. I mean, it's not the best Sunday nighter you'll ever see. It's too many points for me to be laying with KC. And KC's been having a tough time covering these bigger numbers of late. But I don't know if I can stomach backing Denver. And I won't be backing Denver. So it's clearly a game I'm going to just say pass. Skee, what do you think of Sunday night football here, Broncos-Chiefs?
Well, Broncos looked really terrible last week, and it's because they didn't have a quarterback. So everybody, I think, will run to the window and pick the Chiefs. This is still a division game. The Chiefs don't always just blow out. Broncos aren't great, but division game, asking them to win by more than 2 touchdowns, I think that's a bit too much. I don't think the Chiefs care too much about this game. They can just get the win and get on. And I think we see a much better Broncos team because they're going to have a quarterback. So I'll take the points with the Broncos. And I know people see the Chiefs and like to bet the over, but I think the Broncos defense will play pretty solid. And Chiefs defense, I don't think they're the greatest, but I like it to be less points in this game. Divisional unders late in the year. Give me the under. Give me the Broncos.
I'll tell you what, there's something going in your favor if you like Denver here. It's that Kansas City's had 2 huge games in a row, Las Vegas and then Tampa Bay last week, back-to-back weeks. And now it's a little bit of a flat spot. I worry about that. We have seen the Chiefs a couple of times, not often, but after a couple of big games in a row and they come back home and they play a subpar team, just do enough to win. That worries me a little bit. We might see that tonight. Connor, what do you think? You're Denver or KC?
Yeah, they'd be 4 in a row after unreal start. Patrick Mahomes against the spread. They lost the last 3 against the spread. I like it at 13.5. If it touches 14, I love it. I'd love to get 2 touchdowns with the Broncos. I think the division game, like Skee was saying, I think Denver plays a lot better. after that game. No quarterback, the whole situation, and I don't love the total. It could go either way. Like Skee said, it could be kind of a dogfight. It could get a little bit away from them. But I got to take 2 touchdowns. The NFL, Mahomes or not, Chiefs or not, that's a boatload of points. So I'm on the Broncos.
Yeah, it's a lot of points. Situationally, I agree. I mean, it's definitely an edge for the Broncos. Can they be competent enough on the field to take advantage of that's the question. All right, we're going to break down the Monday doubleheader and the Tuesday game as well. Remember, Tuesday night football this week as well. Dallas, Baltimore in a second. But before we do that, best bets. Let's get those in right now before the early games kick. Skee, best bet. If you had to pick one, where are you going?
I'm gonna go against everybody. I got it at Jets +9, but I still don't think they should be favored by more than a touchdown. So give me the Jets.
Wow, Jets as best bet. That is confidence right there. New York Jets, best bet, +7.5, +8 against the Las Vegas Raiders. Connor, best bet from you.
Well, again, when I thought we'd do afternoon, I'll go with the Giants 11. But best bet 10 o'clock games. Give me the Titans. Now that it's dropped. Give me the Titans -3.5 from 4.
3.5.
Yep.
All right, very good. Mine is going to be, and it's kicking off in just a minute here, Jacksonville, Minnesota. We're going to go over 51. That's where we'll go for best bet. Jacksonville Jaguars, Minnesota Vikings over 51. See if we can get that one into the win column. So there's our best bet. Skee on the Jets, Connor liking the Titans, and I'm on the Jags Vikings over. All right, Monday, first game of the doubleheader, Pittsburgh, Washington football team. Fascinating game here because Washington looks reinvigorated, revitalized going into this game. Pittsburgh, though, laying 7 at home, 43.5 the total. Something tells me Washington comes in here, gives this team the game. I like what I'm seeing, the energy. They still think they can win this division. Someone's got to, and Washington's playing like it. They're playing better. Alex Smith has given this team a spark. He's played well. The defense, has been solid at times this year. Can they go on the road and give Pittsburgh a game? I think they can. The one thing that I'm hesitant about, and Pittsburgh's injuries on defense, they're already without Devin Bush. Stephon Tuitt missed the last game. And now you have another big injury that they suffered in the Baltimore game as well. It's a concern now with the injuries mounting a little bit for the Steelers on the defensive side of the football. Still got the good offense, but still can't run the football. And that's becoming more and more of an issue here for the Steelers. The run game is just non-existent. The one little thing that's why I'm right now just leaning to Washington is because Mike Tomlin lit this team up after that game against Baltimore, saying it was a junior varsity team. We can't play like that and expect to win. You would have thought they lost the game with his post-game press conference. And the players said it. Ben said it. We didn't play well. We stunk in the game. They actually used that word, that they stunk, even though they beat the Raiders.
Yeah, they were going through the motions for sure.
They were dropping passes left and right, Connor. Exactly. Giving up big plays defensively late in the game to Trace McSorley, a third-string quarterback. So I worry that he lit a fire under this Pittsburgh team because we know if they play their A game, they might be able to run away from Washington. But I'm not so sure. I like the spunk in this Washington football team lately. I'm leaning dog here. Skee, what do you think? Washington, Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I got in on this game +9, and I think it's a terrible spot for the Steelers. They just played the other day. They get what, 4 days before the game. So I think it's a big schedule inconvenience. Washington's defensive line is pretty good. They've been pretty good against the pass. I trust Washington plus. Well, what is it down to now? 7. I mean, the only way I'm looking is Washington. I'm not backing the Steelers with this spot on their schedule, and I think it's probably a lower scoring game. But I'm on Washington for myself.
I agree with you. Liking Washington here. That's the way I'd go. I haven't pulled the trigger yet, but I'm thinking about it. Connor, what do you think here? Washington, Pittsburgh.
I'm with you guys as well. I already did. I got Washington +8. I already took a piece earlier. And I'd like it over 7. Anything over that. I think it's just a bad spot all the way around we're talking about. And I like what I see in Alex Smith. It's good to see him not only come back and play football, but play pretty good. I mean, I don't think he's going to be his old self. But, yeah, Washington's I like him. I just like the points here. I think it's too many. Pittsburgh playing, 5 days later after that game. So I'll take the points here as well.
All right, liking Washington as well. All right, Monday Night Football. This is the originally scheduled Monday Night Football game before the season started. Buffalo Bills, San Francisco 49ers, but the game is in Glendale, Arizona, the home of the 49ers for the rest of the season because of the coronavirus. There's been a change of favorites here. Now we've got San Francisco 1-point favorite here at home, 47 the total. I get it. The 49ers are getting healthier, much healthier. Tevin Coleman is going to be back. They already got Mostert back. They got Deebo Samuel at receiver back. The offensive line's getting healthier. Defense as well, the secondary. But here's the problem. They're getting healthier in all the other areas. That's good. A nice win against the Rams. Really good win. Their defense played great in that football game against the Rams last week. But I keep coming back to the fact you've got Nick Mullins on one side at quarterback, Josh Allen on the other. It's been a nice run for the 49ers here last week with the way they played. But I think they're going to be a much, much tougher challenge, the Buffalo Bills, offensively for this 49ers team. And I don't know if Nick Mullins can trade scores, but in fact, I'm going to say it right now. I know he can't trade scores with Josh Allen. This is a guy that's made mistakes. And I like the Buffalo defense last week. Remember, we talked about the Buffalo defense not being the defense we thought they would be. Well, they went into the bye week. McDermott, Leslie Frazier, the coaching staff focused on the defense. We've got to shore that up. And that game against the Chargers last week was outstanding by the Buffalo Bills defense. They got pressure on Herbert. They stopped the run consistently for the first time in weeks. They shored up the defense. They knew they had a leak in that defense, and they, at least for 1 week, fixed the leak. And now they're going up against a quarterback that I flat out don't trust. I give Shanahan, he knows he can scheme an offense and put his team in a good position to have success offensively. But to me, the Bills got their defense back a little bit last week. That was as good as I've seen them play on that side of the ball, and I think it's going to show up in this game. I think now the wrong team's favored. I think Buffalo's still the better of these two teams. I like the Bills here. Skee, what do you like here? Bills 49ers.
Yeah, I agree with you. Better quarterback for the Bills, and their running game has even been better. I want to say it started off slow, but I want to say it's gotten a little better. And yes, the 49ers are a little healthy, but they still don't have their quarterback. And the Bills defense, with the good thing they are doing is they're getting turnovers, and I can see Nick Mullins turning it over. So I would take the Bills if I have to, especially their dog at a neutral site, not even a home game for the 49ers. I'll take the Bills plus the point, or Bills money line, whatever it is.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think the Bills are the way to go now in this game. And that's all due respect. Niners are battling. They've had lots of injuries. And that was a nice win last week, but I think that's going to be a much tougher challenge here against Buffalo. Don't overlook this one fact. Maybe it's just me reading something into it that's not there. But Buffalo, the last time they were in this stadium, it didn't end well for them. That was that awful Kyler Murray Hail Mary pass that just absolutely crushed them. Heartbreaker, losing to the Cardinals. They're going to that same stadium. I think they want a better result this time around. Connor, what's your thoughts here? Buffalo, Arizona, or Buffalo, San Francisco in Arizona?
At first, I would have took San Francisco, if I could have got the 2.5. I like how they're playing, but I just can't trust Mullins. I don't even know if I want to bet this game. I think Buffalo, I'd rather go with a better quarterback. Some San Fran, though, they're just playing, they could get a wild card. They win this game. They're still in it, technically. So it should be a good one. I'm going to see how it goes tomorrow, but I've had nothing on that game so far.
All right, pass for you on that one. And the last game, Tuesday Night Football on Fox. It's the Joe Buck, Troy Aikman special here. We got Ravens and Cowboys on Tuesday night. Obviously, we know Baltimore. They've had a ton of COVID-19 issues to deal with. They're laying 8.5 in this game, 45 the total. It does look like they're going to get Lamar Jackson back at quarterback for this game. He's come off the COVID-19 list, so we won't see a second appearance for Robert Griffin III this week, at least not in a starting role. Looks like Mark Andrews is still out, though, tight end who Lamar Jackson looks to a lot. It's difficult because, again, the Ravens have had only 5 days. They're laying 8.5. It's a lot of points to be laying. Their schedule's been out of whack. Their practice routine, they had not practiced in almost 2 weeks going into that game against Pittsburgh. And yet I give them credit. They fought their tails off, and I give John Harbaugh and the coaching staff credit for getting all that they did out of that Baltimore Ravens team in the game against Pittsburgh last Wednesday. Is there enough? Can Dallas take advantage of that? That's the big question here because, with the Dallas Cowboys, it's been, it was a good game for them against Minnesota, and then it was just a debacle against Washington the following week. But you talk about prep time and situationals. Dallas hasn't played since Thanksgiving, that bad loss to Washington. They've been sitting on that. And here's Baltimore, 5 days. And yeah, they get Lamar Jackson back, but he hasn't practiced in forever. So I'm still reluctant to lay 8.5 with Baltimore here in this game. It's kind of like Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh laying big points in a dubious scheduling situation and going around. That was tough to lay those points with them in that game. Same thing here with Dallas, Baltimore. Baltimore's better than Dallas. No one's denying that. But to be laying 8.5 in this situation, with not much practice time, another instance where you've got 5 days following your last game, it's tricky. Problem is, I don't know if I trust Dallas enough to bet them. So it's a wait and see for me here. It's nothing right now in this game personally. Skee, what's your thoughts here? Dallas, Baltimore.
Yeah, I understand it's a terrible situation. And I don't trust the Cowboys to bet them. So I probably won't be involved in this game. But I do think Cowboys are not good against the run. And Ravens, if anything, they're going to run all over them. So I'm not running to the window to lay the points with the Ravens. If anything, I think whoever shows up in this game has a good time scoring. I kind of like the over.
Yeah.
You know what? That makes some sense. 45 for Dallas is pretty low. And I was on the over with Washington, Dallas on Thanksgiving. I might get there with that because the run game should be able to work. I don't know if Dobbins or Ingram are going to be back, but Gus, the polar bear Edwards, he's definitely capable enough to run the football. Lamar, we know what he can do running it. Dallas hasn't been good against that. And can you get something out of Dalton in the offense? I think you can because Baltimore's defense is banged up. They've had multiple injuries on that side of the ball and COVID issues on that side of the ball as well. So I'm kind of leaning that way as well in this game in terms of the total. The over 45 might be of interest. Connor, what's your thoughts here? Ravens, Cowboys.
Yeah, I love that many points. Even with the cowgirls, as I call them, give me the Cowboys, and I love the over here for 45. The Cowboys defense is not good. And the Ravens defense, I don't think is that good. I mean, I think they're more average from like last year that they had a great defense. So I'd take the points now. It was 9, it's 8.5, and I definitely like the over as well. Let me real quick jump into our sponsor. If you haven't download Wolf Spreads, our app. Hit Pub Sports Radio Battle Royale. You get $2K to bet on the NFL games. You pick one game, a bunch of games, get on the afternoon games, the Monday. We got Tuesday games now. So you can take any of these games, choose the money how you want to do it. And if you get first place, you get free shirts, hats, sweatshirts from Pub Sports Radio. So download the app if you haven't. Wolf Spreads.
There you go. Support the sponsors that support this show and this channel. That's what we always like to say. And with that, we're going to wrap it up. That's the NFL Closing Time show for this Sunday, December the 6th. Great show as always. And thanks to everyone in the chat for tuning in, joining us every single Sunday. We appreciate it. We hope you all have a great and winning NFL Sunday. We'll be back with you as always next Sunday, noon Eastern, 9 a.m. Pacific for the Week 14 edition of the NFL Closing Time show. For Skee Profit, Connor Mack, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Sunday. Good luck. Enjoy the games. We'll see you next Sunday once again right here on Pub Sports.